So I will just welcome everyone as you're coming in. All right, and then Gabby, just let me know when we're kind of stable with people coming in. Welcome everyone as you're coming in. Welcome to the information session for MedTech Innovator. Thank you for joining us today. You will start momentarily. Sorry.
I think we're good to go.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Gabby. All right. Well, welcome everyone formally now to the information session for MedTech Innovator applications. Thank you for joining us today. There are a lot of people on the line. I know a lot of you may have started applications. Some of you are thinking about applying. So I want to leave a lot of time for questions today at the end. During the session, please feel free to post your questions at the Q&A, mostly at in the Q&A box, so we can get to them during and at the end of the session. And you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions at the end. If we don't get to everyone, don't worry. You are still going to have an email at the end of this where you can send us your questions. So let's get right into it. I'm Ayelet Marom. I'm the Senior Director of Programs at MedTech Innovator. What that means is that I work across our 3 different programs, which we'll talk about today. And all right, let's get it started. So MedTech Innovator, most of you probably know that if you are here, but I would like to take a little a short moment just to say that MedTech Innovator is the largest life science accelerator and competition in the world. We are a nonprofit, and as said, we are an accelerator program for medical devices, digital health, diagnostics, and life science tools companies, and a competition. Our mission is to improve human health by accelerating the growth of startups in that sector, by supporting them, and we'll talk a lot today about how we are doing that. As said, largest accelerator for medtech companies in the world. We have over 600 alumni companies, and that is an important point we'll get to talk about later on, and why that's important for you as potential candidates and potential participants in this program. Over 95% of them are still in business or acquired, which is really a staggering number. They have gone on to raise over $7 billion following as a follow-on funding, meaning after the program, over 44 acquisitions to date, and over 280 products on the market that has been approved by the FDA. So again, really successful portfolio. Part of this is the rigorous selection process we'll talk about today, and the support that we provide to the companies in the program. MedTech Innovator, what you see here is a brief introduction. This is an info session specifically for the MedTech US program, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But MedTech Innovator, as an organization, has now grown and has different programs and different tracks within our program. So it's important that we talk a little bit about this. MedTech Innovator, the US program, our flagship program, this is the program this info session is really focused on medical devices, digital health or health tech, and diagnostics. Within that, there are different specialized tracks, such as plastic surgery, and we have recently announced a new track with the American Heart Association that is not even here on the slide yet, but has been launched for the upcoming year. So you will see these things continue to happen throughout the year in the next few years in MedTech Innovator. We also have a Asia Pacific MedTech Innovator program, which is is focused in the same way on medical devices, digital health, and diagnostics, but is designed for people either based or with strategic interest in the Asia Pacific markets. And that is a separate program. And most recently, in 2021, we've launched our BioTools Innovator program, which is focused on life science tools and molecular diagnostics. So that session, that we had an info session, separate info session for that this morning. If you're interested in this program specifically, please reach out to us or send us questions to the email we'll post at the end, support@medtechinnovator.org, and we're happy to tell you more about this. What makes MedTech Innovator? We always like to explain to people that MedTech Innovator, unlike other accelerators, is more of a downstream accelerator and an industry bound one. What that means, you see all these names and logos here on that slide, and that is not just to show you who are our partners, because they are an integral part of this program. Our claim to fame here at MedTech Innovator is that we work with these industry partners, these strategics that you see here, and the service providers that you see here, to support the companies that are in the program in different ways. Some of these organizations will be the mentors that will mentor companies in this program. And some of them will provide support in different various ways. Some of them you will see in webinars, which is part of our educational curriculum. But the important thing is that really our strategic partners are what makes up the unique nature of this program, and what really helps us also decide and select who are the companies that get into the program, get based on their strategic interest, meaning that if you made it to the program, if your application made it through the selection process, one of our strategic partners is interested specifically in working with you and supporting you. Even if you did not make it in the first year, and we'll talk about this later, this means all these people are looking at your application and can provide feedback on your application, which is really an important thing for everyone. So I'd like to encourage everyone that has a technology, has a product that they're developing in this space, to apply in order to be seen by these partners. Very importantly, and on top of our partners, I'll go back to where I said over 600 alumni companies. Part of our ecosystem is the alumni, are the alumni in the program. Over 600 companies and innovators that have been through what you are, the journey that you are going through right now. This is a really big strength of MedTech Innovator that I would like to emphasize. One of the important things we do here is peer learning and peer support from innovators that have been through the journey, are going through that journey, and will help support you in different ways throughout the program. So part of that really layered ecosystem of alumni companies, other innovators, and partners, industry executives, is what we are building and fostering in order to support companies like yours. Why are we here today? Our applications are open. The deadline for applications is January 31st. I would like to encourage everyone that is considering applying to apply sooner rather than later. We have already started the review process. We already have over 500 applications and submitted, and we encourage everyone to apply earlier or sooner rather than later in order to get a bigger exposure for your application. More eyes, more feedback, again, better for you. Applications are open for all of our programs. As mentioned, this session will focus on MedTech Innovator US program, but if you have questions about any other program, please feel free to drop them here in the chat or email us later. So what differentiates our program is what really is our program focused on. So there are a number of things that we are focused on in supporting our companies. From resources, not just the competition at the end and the resources and the prizes, that the cash prizes that are a part of MedTech Innovator, almost up to $1 million in cash prizes between our 3 different programs. And then Jerry, sorry, the grand prize for MedTech Innovator is 350,000.
Correct.
Did I get that right? Okay. Yes. Good. So grand prize winner, we'll talk about this later, has the opportunity to win $350,000. Aside from that, there are other resources that are provided to our companies that make it into the cohort, be it services from our partners, as well as introductions to investors and other potential resources for funding, from grants to investments and so on and so forth. Visibility. This one is a really, really important one. Being in MedTech Innovator often means heightened visibility. If you're in stealth mode, this is probably not the program for you. If you want the eyes on you in the medtech industry, this is the program and the competition for you. We provide visibility all the way through the application process, right? So your application, once you apply, once you're in the system, in the application system, that starts with an online review from multiple industry executives that are looking at your application and investors that are looking at your application, on to our pitch events, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and on to the different conferences and showcases that you will be participating in if you make it into the cohort. So visibility, really, again, one of the important parts of this program. Mentorship, as part of the program, there's one-on-one mentorship to our early stage companies. You will be mentored by one of the strategic partners in our program, and specifically customized. This mentorship is specifically customized to the goals that you are trying to achieve in the program and for your business and for your product. And then community overall, I think I've mentioned before the strength of our ecosystem as a whole, be it the strategic partners and the other partners that are in this program as our close partners, as well as the community of innovators in your cohort and are across the different cohorts over the years and across the different programs. So I'll talk later a little bit about the Innovator Summit, where you have an opportunity to meet all of these stakeholders. So a little bit more in detail, what do we do throughout the program? How do we support companies throughout the program? So I won't go into all the details. Everyone can get the recording after this, but really important to, again, highlight the mentorship, again, one-on-one, goal-driven and customized mentorship by industry experts and strategics that is really an advantage to get access to and work closely with to develop your products and to get feedback. Resources and funding, we talked a little bit about this in the community aspect. The educational curriculum, this is a very unique webinar series that we hold here that is customized to the challenges and the questions that are top of mind for you that make it into the cohort, the companies that make it into the cohort. We build this webinar series using industry experts that can talk to you about anywhere from funding to product development to building your board, for example. And as said, this is customized to the needs of the cohort. We survey our cohort as we make the selection, and based on that, we build this webinar series and give an opportunity to our companies to be in a closed session. Part of this is public, and part of this is a closed session where you have an opportunity to really dive deep into those issues with those industry experts. And of course, recognition and visibility, as we've already talked about in the different showcases, in the different conferences that we'll talk about later on as we go into the timeline of the program. Really important, we are startup friendly, no equity or participation fee. We are a nonprofit. This is a virtual accelerator program. There are in-person events flanking the bookending the program during the selection process and for the finals. We'll talk about this again in the timeline section, but the program itself is virtual. What that means is that we're agnostic to geography. You can apply from everywhere in the world as long as your main focus is the US market. And again, the program is customized to the different stages and the different types of companies that we see here. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail later. The selection process. So what does that look like? We are now in the first step of the selection, the online applications. Our applications, as I mentioned, are open until January 31st. We have over 1,000 applications annually. Again, encourage you to apply early if you're considering applying. The earlier you apply, the more reviews you get, and your chances of getting into the program increase. We invite about 200 companies, roughly 20%, to pitch in person or virtually, depending on the different factors. Most of you will be invited to pitch in person, and during the application you can choose a preference to what event you would like to pitch at. And so the top 200 companies will be invited to pitch. These are really unique pitch events where you get to pitch to different tables of judges that are specifically interested in learning more about your innovation and that have expertise that can really help propel your innovation and your product. Just participating in the road tour alone has provided companies with so much value. This is really a feedback that we consistently get from companies, even if they didn't make it into the program. Just being part of that road tour has contributed to developing relationships, to receiving meaningful feedback, and really in the unique format that these pitch events are built. It's a fantastic event to be a part of. It's usually a multi-day event, over 100 judges and about 60 companies that are invited to our multi-day events. And then overall, 200 companies will be invited, 200-ish companies will be invited to the road tour. Out of these, when we complete our road tour, we select anywhere between 50 and I think we had 62 last year, depending on the different tracks, depending on how many different specialty tracks will be included, will be part of the accelerator. That selection, and I think that is an important point that I want to make, that selection, we are not selecting the companies. Part of the uniqueness of MedTech Innovator is that Our selection is based on the strategic interests of our partners. Our partners are the one doing the selection, and by doing so are also choosing to work with you as a company to help you bring your product to market, to help you move to the next milestone. And so it's a very thoughtful process of selection that is guided by our strategic partners and by really the biggest names in the medtech industry. And any company that makes it into the cohort is really well positioned in that sense to move on to their next milestone with the support of MedTech Innovator and our ecosystem. What happens if you don't make it to the program? Don't be discouraged. We have companies that have not made it to the program in the first run. That's very common, actually. Some of our winners in MedTech Innovator were companies that only made it to the program the second or the third time. So don't be discouraged. It's very common to apply more than once. So continue to try. I'll talk a little bit later about why that could change between your first application and second application and so on and so forth. Overall, we have about a 5% acceptance rate. It's a very competitive process. 60% of our companies are earlier stage, about 40% would be mid-stage companies. We have a specific track for mid-stage companies where we focus on challenges and topics that are more relevant to companies in a later stage. And then, of course, the competition towards the end of the program, we move on to the competition. We select the finalists out of the accelerator cohort. We select 4 to 5 finalists. There are different competitions, as you can see here on the slide, for the mid-stage companies and for the early stage companies. And even within each one of those, there are different competition, including the best video competition, which we haven't mentioned yet. But throughout the program, towards the end of the program, we start a process where we select again with our partners the finalists for each of the competitions. And then this is again, I won't go into details now because it's a longer process and more relevant for the companies that will make it into the cohort. But these companies will get to present in our at the MedTech conference for the early stage companies. They will present on stage in a room full of people in the MedTech industry, and one of them will have the honor of being the MedTech Innovator winner. In previous sessions here, we had some of our winners, some of our other alumni that provided testimonials and answered some questions. We are happy to give you the opportunity to talk to our alumni. Please do reach out to us. We're happy to refer you to our alumni to ask questions, to talk about MedTech Innovator, to talk about how MedTech Innovator has helped them. A little bit about expectations. What is it that we're looking for? So again, as said before, this session is focused on MedTech Innovator US program. So to start, I will say that we're looking for early to mid-stage startups in medical devices and healthcare IT, as well as diagnostics. Diagnostics specifically, if you are a diagnostics company, you might be a fit also for our BioTools program. I won't go into too many details here. If this is the case, reach out to us, or you can apply to both programs. We will make sure we will send you to where you need to be. Small kind of rule of thumb with diagnostics, if it's a device-based diagnostic like an ultrasound, something like this, MRI, something like this, obviously the MedTech program, a point of care mostly mostly the MedTech program. If it's a diagnostic for a specific indication, again, probably MedTech program, but do reach out to us or feel free to apply to both programs. We will help navigate where your application needs to be. Companies that, what are we looking for in companies that that we are accepting into the program? So you have to be incorporated at the time of the accelerator program start. That will be in June of 2024. Enough runway to execute on the current milestones. We don't expect, you know, a fat bank account. We just want to make sure that you are able during the program to execute on the milestones that you have, and that the resources that we put into supporting you end up actually helping you. We are looking for companies that have minimally a proof of concept, preferably a prototype. There are exceptions, yes, and this is for the early stage, of course, right? There are exceptions. It's on a case-by-case basis. You feel free again to reach out to us with questions, but as a general preference, we would like to see minimally a proof of concept. Funds raised anywhere between a seed C to Series C. That is still within the range that we accept to our programs. And then every company accepted to the program needs to commit either a co-founder, CEO, or other senior member of the leadership team to the program. The reason is that really, again, we put a lot of resources into supporting the companies in the program. These are the mentors that you'll be working with, are high-level executives, people that can really help propel your business. And in general, I would say what you get from the program is what you put into it. And so the person that will be involved in the program and that will be working with your mentor, that will be presenting in competitions, that will be interacting with the different aspects of the program and the different workshops of the program, it needs to be a person that can make decisions and that is able to execute on that for the company and on behalf of the company. Focus areas, I want to spend a little bit of time on that. So as said, medical device, diagnostic, and digital, just kind of a quick graphic to show you what is the makeup of these different areas. These are very broad, we know. We know that, and that's okay. The overlap, of course, exists specifically every year, and that's where I want to come back to what happens if you don't make it in the first year. So our strategic interests from our partners change year by year, right? So every strategic would evaluate every year their strategic interest, and based on that, on our website in this page, please feel free to go to our website and visit that page. We update as needed the strategic interests of our partners every year. So it's possible that in 1 year where you applied, this was not part of the strategic interest of a company, of a strategic, and it will be in the year after. This also helps you get an understanding of what are the technology types we are looking for. So do feel free to go into that website if you want to look at more specific areas of interest that we are looking for in this program. Timeline. I know this is a really important question that comes up very often. What is the timeline? What does a program look like? What do I need to commit in terms of time? So as said, we are in the application phase. Applications are open until January 31st. Between March and June, This is when we hold our road tour. So these are pitch events that I described earlier. You will be notified 3 to 4 weeks before the event. If you are selected to participate, we have an East Coast pitch event, a West Coast pitch event, an international pitch event that will be held in Dublin, Ireland. And there will be one or two virtual events for companies that were not able to see during the in-person events. And then after we conclude our road tour, all of our pitch events, we collectively look at the feedback from all of our pitch events. And late May is when you should be notified about the final decision, whether you made it into the cohort or not. Those selected into the cohort will be invited to the Innovator Summit, which is a 2-day event in San Francisco. This is the official kickoff of the program. And this is where you'll get to meet all of our ecosystem. So our partners, our alumni, our cohort, your cohort, and other cohorts in the other program for 2 days of deep learning, workshops, getting to know each other, networking, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. So this is when our program kicks off. From June to October, this is the virtual accelerator program. That's where you'll be working with your mentors, attending webinars, attending workshops. All this is virtual. And then, of course, towards the end, this is where we get to the MedTech Innovator Showcase and Finals competition at the MedTech Conference this year. It's between October 15 and 17 in Toronto, Canada. So this is a little bit more of a detailed timeline. Again, key dates to remember. One thing I haven't talked about is at the Innovator Summit. Important to know, this is June 12 to 13, and the Innovator Summit concludes on June 13, where the MedTech Innovator companies will continue to the Wilson Sonsini Medical Device Conference in San Francisco, where you will be presenting at the conference showcase. So again, visibility opportunity, really great conference for networking with investors. So really important opportunity. Again, as Jerry mentioned earlier, I think you'll all be getting the recording of this, so you can take a deeper look at the program key dates, and they are, of course, on our website on the Applied page. That is all I wanted to cover today, and I want to make sure you have time for questions. I already see a lot of questions in the Q&A. I'm leaving you here with some testimonials from past winners, past participants in the program. As said, we're happy to connect you to some of them to ask questions, to talk about the program. So feel free to reach out to us for that. This is a QR code if you need to reach our application page, and the address, the URL, sorry, for our application page. If you have not started your application, once again, I really encourage you to do this sooner rather than later. Please don't wait to January 30 to start your application. The application itself, I know this is a common question. The application itself should take you about an hour. Have everything ready. It should take you up to an hour to fill out your application. Do it sooner rather than later. You can also add team members to the applications that can help fill out the different parts of the applications of the application as needed. If you need help in how to do that, please reach out to us. And again, sooner rather than later. I will leave you with this for the Q&A part. Let me look at the Q&A to take some questions. All right, we have a lot of questions. Okay, let's pick one. Let's see. What guidance do you typically provide to startups on applying in an early stage or waiting till mid-stage to benefit from the resources provided by MedTech Innovator? MedTech Innovator can support early stage to mid-stage. My advice and our advice in general, apply earlier. If you can get help and get support and feedback and input from companies from the biggest strategics in the med device world, do it early on in your product development. Don't wait until you have to correct mistakes or put in more resources, more money into changing your business model, changing something in your product development. Do it early on. But if you are a later stage that needs more access to strategics, the access to investors, you are welcome to apply as well. If you are an early stage, but still has the minimal requirement, I'd advise you to apply. I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. Other questions. When it comes to digital health, is it still in the life science field, or can all startups apply with this focus? I'm not exactly sure what that question means. Digital health, health tech, whatever you may call it, anything that is improving human health, this is our focus. So if this is within the scope of what you are doing, feel free to apply. This is still a focus and an interest area for our program. I hope that answers your question. Not sure exactly what was the question, but if not, feel free to reach out to us. Is there a mechanism for physicians, strategic, or MedTech Innovators alumni to nominate a startup to the program? Yes, thank you for asking that question. There is. If you're an alumni of the program, you should have received an email several times with requests for nominations. Nominations mean that whoever is nominated will be getting an email from us that will encourage them to apply, and they will get a priority review from our reviewers. If you're a clinician and would like to nominate companies and you're not part of our current ecosystem, please do reach out to us, support@MedTech Innovator, or to me or Jerry, our name at medtechinnovator.org. Please reach out to us. We have a nomination program that is active currently. So thank you for that question.
And I pasted the email in the chat for everyone.
Sorry, repeat that, Jerry.
I typed the email addresses in the chat.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. If we have 2 medical patents for 2 different products, should we pitch both or do each separately? Great question. We get this very often. It depends on how different they are, basically. So if it's an entirely different product, yes, you can apply twice with 2 different products. If it's the same product, different application, I'd advise applying once, if need be, during the road tour or as part of the feedback in the application. We will let you know if it feels like it needs to be 2 different applications. But generally speaking, if these are really 2 different products, then I'd advise applying separately. One question that I see here, Jerry, could you please paste in the chat for everyone the list of different awards in the program and the amounts?
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you. And then there's a follow-up here. Do the award criteria favor mid-stage companies over early-stage companies? No, Long story short, no. There is a separate category for mid-stage companies. Mid-stage companies are eligible for different prizes. So there's one overlap for the video competition, which I haven't talked about, I realize now. But generally speaking, mid-stage and early stage are eligible for different prizes. So I will take that opportunity though to talk about the video competition. So one of the things we do in the program with our companies is we help them produce a 1-minute video about their product. And there is a competition. It's a really not only a fun activity, but one that has really yielded a lot of value for our companies. And they've been using this video as they go out to raise funds, as they go out to talk to strategics, as they go out to present their company in different places. And that is an award that will overlap, that all of our companies are eligible for, whether you're early stage or mid stage. Historically, I would just say there's not necessarily an advantage for any stage of company. It's how much you put into that video that will determine the outcome. Is the cohort synonymous with the accelerator, or is it different? Yes, it is. So the accelerator program and the cohort, I've used them interchangeably here. If you're selected to the cohort, you're part of the accelerator. Thank you for asking. Do we sign NDAs to protect IP? So that's a really important question. I'm happy to take this. We do not ask you to sign any NDA. We do not ask our judges to sign an NDA or our reviewers. The reason is we want everyone to limit the information in the application, including the decks that you're providing, whatever information you're providing. Please make sure this is non-confidential. We actually review your materials before we let our reviewers look at the applications, and we let you know if there is something that is confidential that needs to be changed or removed from the application. No one is under NDA. You should be able to convey the value and the pitch for your technology without signing an NDA, just like you would do with any pitch that you make or any conversation that you're starting. This is the starting point. Later on, as you start working with the mentors and the different ecosystem members in the program, if you're interested, if both parties are interested in going deeper and signing an NDA, that's always an option. That happens very often. Sometimes there is no need. Sometimes companies feel like there is a need, or the mentor would feel there is a need, so they can dive a little bit deeper. Then both sides are open to do so. We do not require anyone to sign an NDA. Please make sure that whatever you're conveying is non-confidential. And if there is a question or something you are unsure of, do reach out to us before you're putting it out there. Let's see, other questions. What would be the location for the road tour? That is a great question. Let me, I want to go back to that page here. So the road tour between March and May. So we have one East Coast, we're starting with West Coast event. So West Coast event is going to be in Los Angeles. And I am blanking on the date. I'm sorry. This is March 12, 13. Am I right, Jerry?
13,
correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry?
13, 14.
13, 14. Okay, so March 13, 14, this is Los Angeles. This is our first pitch event. This is the West Coast pitch event. Then we have our East Coast pitch event. That is April 2nd, 3rd. That is in Washington, D.C. And then our Dublin pitch event, that's the international pitch event. That is April 16, 15 or 16?
15.
15, thank you, Jerry. So April 15th, that is our Dublin pitch event in Dublin, Ireland. There will be some virtual pitch events as needed if we were not able to have all companies pitch in the in-person events, but this is by invite only if we make a determination that we cannot see you in person. All right. And just to clarify, by the way, this is a question that comes up soon. You will only be invited to one pitch event. So that during that pitch event, you will have multiple opportunities to pitch to different groups of judges based on the judges' selection. But you will only be asked to pitch once in one of our pitch events. So, and just to clarify that point, let's see. We are a fully non-dilutive grant funded. How should we classify our funds raised in terms of pre-seed, seed, etc.? So great question. During the application, you will be specifically asked how much equity have you raised, how much grants, what grants, so on and so forth. And so you'd have the opportunity to answer in a very detailed way what is the source of your funds. That's okay if you're fully funded by grant funds. It really depends on what the stage of the company is. But you will see this option, and specifically if you don't have any equity funds raised, then you'll be a pre-seed company, specifically to the later part of your question. Okay, let's see. Other questions? In terms of fundraise, does it have to be angel funding or VC funding, or do you accept companies that have SBIR? So along these lines, we have multiple companies that have SBIR funding. Sometimes that's their only funding. Yes, it really depends on where you are in the product development, in your readiness we want to make sure that whoever we bring into the program is ready to take full advantage of the support that we offer. So that will really be on a case-by-case basis. It does not mean that if you only have SBIR funding, you're too early. It definitely does not mean that. It could mean that, but it's not a rule, a hard and fast rule. You don't have to have angel or VC funding. Like I said, you'll have the opportunity to let us know exactly what type of funding you have during the application. So I would, again, if you feel like you may be too early, feel free to reach out to either of us and ask specifically. We can go over where you are with you and give you advice. Generally speaking, I would say it's never too early to apply, even if you don't get in. The advantage is that you're still able to get feedback. You still have eyes on your application and exposure to what you are doing, putting you on the radar, even just being part of the application process. But if you have questions or not sure, let us know. Okay, let's see. Are the stage funding requirements the same for the BioTools program, or can earlier companies pre-seed apply? Great question. Generally speaking, the BioTools companies skew a little bit earlier. We have had pre-seed companies. So generally speaking, yes, we still have a preference for companies that have, again, the important thing is having minimally a proof of concept. So that is what will be the guiding decision for us. For BioTools specifically, it looks like there are many more companies that have, much more companies that have a proof of concept using only grant funding. And so, yes, we have seen more of those in the BioTools program. Okay, let's see. Other same question. There are some repeating questions. If I'm not specifically answering yours, I hope that covers the same question about non-dilutive grants versus equity. For applications, what are the documents required? So during the application process, you will see we're asking different questions, anywhere from the description of the technology and the business model and the fundraising, so on and so forth. At the end, we do ask to add a pitch deck or minimally executive summary. I think we may have added a request for one other, maybe a video of your product if you have it. This is not a mandatory requirement. But the documents, you'll see at the end of the application a list of things that you can provide. You can also provide other supporting documents for your application as needed. If you have, letters of interest, things like that you feel might be relevant, you can add them, but minimally executive summary and pitch deck. What else? Let's see, how are we doing on time? Okay, have a little bit more time, so I can take a few more questions. Can we make edits to already submitted applications? So good question. You can always make edits. Make sure that when you're actually submitting your application, it is at a point where you feel comfortable with reviewers looking at it. Because once your application is submitted, yes, you can change it if you have major updates. And that's actually encouraged. If you have some major update, we obviously want to see this. But once your application is submitted, reviewers are starting to look at it. And so my advice would be, if something earth-shattering is happening after you've submitted your application, please update it and let us know. By letting us know, what that means is that we will flag this for reviewers that have maybe seen the application already, that there is so and so change, and usually it's a if there is a change that they need to see, or that may have been one of the things addressed in the feedback by the reviewers. So it's highly encouraged that we look at it and we let them know. So please do let us know. Let's see. To be well prepared, what are the main topics of the applications? Thank you for asking that question. So during the application, it's a comprehensive application. We will ask you about your technology. Again, non-confidential information. We'll ask about technology. We will ask about your business model, your funds raised, your use of funds, your team. Very importantly, we're asking you about your team, who's leading that company. And we are asking about IP protection. We are asking about the clinical relevance of what you are doing, and the application of what you are doing, and specifically asking questions about the validation that you already have, right? What is the proof of concept or other stages of validation that you might have, and then of course, what are the current milestones that you are working on, milestones already achieved. So these are the main things that you will see throughout the application. It's pretty detailed, but should not take you more than 45 minutes to an hour to complete if you have everything ready with you. these are the main things I would say in the application. There are some questions here that are very long and detailed. We can take those offline. Let's see. How much time per week should we expect to dedicate to the program? That is a good question. If you're accepted to the program, again, I will say in general, what you get from this program, and this is something you will hear from all of our alumni, what you get from the program is how much you put into it. But in terms of really the tactical part of it, right? How much time do you spend? So with your mentor, you're assigned a mentor in the program when you're part of the cohort. This is, once a week. If you have a good cadence with the mentor, you'll spend about an hour once a week, or sometimes a little less than that. So some of our companies, the scheduling with your mentor is really up to you and to your mentor, right? So you'd be able to schedule something along the lines of this cadence, or once a week, or maybe once every couple of weeks, with your mentors, about an hour. There's prep time for this for sure, so keep that in mind. And then we have a weekly webinar. That will be a 1 hour webinar weekly, and then 1 hour of office hour, which are expert hours, we call them. And so this is another hour that is weekly that you are asked to participate in. We do record all these things, but there's a huge benefit in participating live so that you can be part of the conversation, ask your questions, and really get the most out of this. So these are the things that are the regularly scheduled activities. Outside of that, there is a value workshop that we didn't get into in details here, that is in a specific period of time during that program, which is an additional time you'll spend. And then, of course, in the selection process, and there are the pitch events, and there are in the finals event, of course, and the summit. And so regularly between June and October, plan to spend about 3 hours per week, with minus plus the preparation. So that is ballpark what you could expect to invest in terms of time. What is the program definition of early stage and mid stage? Great question. Some of the companies will be, of course, in that gray area, but largely speaking, all the way to from seed to Series B, that would largely fall under our early stage, and then Series B or C would be mid stage. Again, a really important determination is where you are in terms of product development. That is something we would look at in your application. You can self-identify if we feel that there is a gap between how you self-identify and how we see that, we would let you know. But of course, if you have, if you're in a proof of concept, you're still early stage. If you have a product on the market, obviously, or close to being on the market, obviously, you're more in the mid stage, right? So really, on a case-by-case basis, but these are kind of rules of thumb that you can use in your self-identification. Let's see. All right, I see we're at the hour. I want to make sure, if people need to drop, feel free to drop. I know we didn't get to all the questions, so what we will do is we'll just take some of these questions and get back to you. And maybe with the recording, we can just send everyone kind of common answers to questions that have been brought up. I can take a couple more here. Let's see. Okay, this is an important question that I want to take. Can we still apply if our business activities has so far been in another territory up to this point, but we are looking to grow into the American market? Yes. The answer is yes, absolutely. If your focus is the US market, if you are looking at market entry, this is a program that that can help you. Specifically, if you're in Asia Pacific, and you are looking to enter the US market and not yet, you're not yet making actual steps to get there, reach out to me. We'll figure out where you are exactly together, and maybe the Asia Pacific program is a better fit for you, because we do support companies in the Asia Pacific program that are planning to enter the US market. So in the early stages of an market entry interest. And so do reach out to us if that is the case. Could you please share your contact email? I think Jerry have posted these. Okay, last question that I will take. Can we apply with products that are already certified and established in the European market to access the American market? Again, question about this. Yes, even if you have products registered and on the market in the European market, please feel free to apply, because this is a great program to help you with your market entry. So important question. Glad people are asking this. I think we'll stop at that. I know we have a lot more questions than we can answer today. So we will try to answer all of these and write back to you with answers. If not, please do reach out to us, and we will do our best.